Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into some really interesting research today.
Yeah, definitely some thought-provoking stuff.
It's all about how men and women in Congress, how they speak differently.
Right.
We're looking at a study, it's called Gender and Speech Patterns in Congress. And it covers a pretty big chunk of time, like from 2017 all the way to 2024.
In the data skies we take our flight. Trends and numbers come to life. Colors and charts, they dance and play. Showing truth in a visual way. In GenderDecoded we uncover truths and stories like no other. In the data waves we find the secret maps of humankind.
I gotta admit, going into this, I thought I knew what to expect.
Yeah.
Maybe some subtle differences here and there.
Yeah, I get it.
But man, the data just blew me away.
Oh, wow. In what way?
Turns out,
Yeah.
even though they're outnumbered in Congress, women consistently give longer speeches than their male counterparts.
Seriously. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's like this hidden dynamic that most folks just don't even realize is happening.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's not something you'd immediately think about.
Yeah, but the numbers don't lie.
So what did the study find specifically?
Well, it wasn't just some anecdotal observation.
Right.
The researchers actually dug deep into the congressional record.
Yeah.
We're talking thousands upon thousands of speeches analyzed,
Wow.
and the pattern was undeniable.
So, like, on average, how much longer were women's speeches?
On average, women spoke about 15% longer than men.
Wow. 15%. That's quite a difference.
Yeah, it really is.
Especially when you think about how every second is precious in those settings.
Absolutely. And here's the kicker. That 15% difference held true even after they factored in things like committee assignments and leadership positions.
So it's not just because they happen to be, in more powerful roles or anything like that.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Now, the study called this an effort to maximize opportunities for expression. What exactly do you think that means in the context of Congress?
Well, I think you got to consider the historical context here.
Okay, yeah.
Women have been underrepresented in politics for, pretty much forever, right?
Sure.
They've had to fight tooth and nail for a seat at the table to have their voices heard on the issues that matter to them and their constituents.
Makes sense.
So when they get the floor, they're making the most of it. Every word counts. They're introducing more amendments, bringing in more diverse research and perspectives, and really meticulously crafting their arguments to make sure they hit home.
Wow, it makes you think about all the ways those power dynamics are still playing out,
For sure.
even today.
Yeah.
And it's not just Congress either.
Oh, absolutely not.
You see it in businesses, in schools, in all sorts of places.
It's everywhere.
It's like this invisible force field that can be hard to pin down, but it's definitely there.
It is, yeah. And I think what this study shows is that women are acutely aware of those dynamics and are finding ways to navigate them effectively.
So it's not just about speaking longer. It's about using that time strategically to overcome those historical barriers.
Precisely. And it's not just the quantity of the speech that differs, but the style and the approach as well.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about it. Men often rely on what some might consider more traditional power moves in communication.
Okay.
Like assertiveness, direct appeals to authority,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Women, on the other hand, tend to use a more collaborative approach.
Oh, interesting.
They're focused on building consensus, drawing on personal narratives and lived experiences to connect with their audience.
So it's not about one style being better than the other.
Right.
It's about recognizing that these different approaches exist and how they can be effective in different ways.
Exactly. And that's what makes this study so fascinating. It's not about saying one gender communicates better than the other. It's about understanding the nuances and the complexities of how gender influences our communication patterns in these high-stakes environments.
I like that. Are there any particular topics where these differences in speech patterns become even more pronounced?
Oh, absolutely. When you look at issues like healthcare, education, and social welfare, those areas that disproportionately impact women and families, you see women speaking at even greater length with more passion and urgency in their arguments.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're bringing a different level of lived experience to the table on those issues.
Exactly. It's not just about abstract policy debates for them. It's personal. It's about advocating for themselves, their families, and their communities.
Okay, so we've got women speaking longer, using different rhetorical strategies, and focusing on specific policy areas. But what's the real-world impact of all this?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And it's an area where, frankly, more research needs to be done.
Yeah, that's fair.
But early indications suggest there could be a correlation between these longer speeches by women and an increase in bill sponsorship, particularly in those key areas we just talked about.
Oh, wow. So they're not just talking, they're actually
Yeah.
getting stuff done.
That seems to be the case, yeah. And it looks like it resonates with voters, too. Studies are showing that constituents view female representatives who speak more as being more effective advocates for their communities.
That's pretty powerful. It's like they're proving that those longer speeches aren't just about taking up time.
Right.
It's about using that time to make real change.
Exactly. And I can just imagine the scene, right? A male and female member of Congress get the same amount of time for a speech.
Mm-hmm.
The male member's probably thinking, all right, plenty of time, no problem.
Easy peasy.
But the female member, she's got it all mapped out, every second plan. It's like a game of 4D chess.
Yeah. Well, everyone else is stuck playing checkers.
Exactly. And that's why this research is so important. It's given us a glimpse into this whole complex interplay of gender, power, and representation in our political system.
So basically, even though women are still underrepresented in Congress, they're not just making their voices heard. They're actively challenging the status quo through their engagement.
And how they use their time.
Yep. Speaking longer, using different strategies, and focusing on the issues that matter most to their constituents.
Well said. It really does make you think. Like, how would the whole dynamic of Congress, even the laws themselves, change if there was equal representation of men and women?
That's a great question.
Right. What new perspectives and solutions could we see if things were more balanced? It's definitely something worth pondering.
It is. It really is. And that's something for all of us to think about, not just those in the halls of power. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep those conversations going.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.